Assalamu alaikum fam, hope you're doing well. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, I just wanted to have a sensitive talk with you about why, as a mother, you should fight to have time with your children. What I mean by that is, there are so many different institutions, devices, and such that are really pulling apart the quality time you get to spend with your little one. And if you actually sit back and analyze it, you'll begin to see that it is quite extensive how much time you do not actually spend with your little one, and how you have psychologically become conditioned to think that a little bit of time is substantial, when in fact it's the opposite. It's insufficient. And what I mean by that is to think about your child. Let's say they go to kindergarten. They're at school. You have your little mini break. But then let's say you go to work and you go to school. Your kid's at school. They're with a nanny. And let's say, your kid is watching just television on a tablet. They are being entertained by a device, right? And then you pick them up around 5 o'clock. You come home. Now you have to unwind. You got to take a shower. Hopefully you got to cook. Some women don't even cook. They just order in, or they have someone else cook for them, or they really eat unhealthy because they're so bad at cooking that they just kind of eat junk food and not really wholesome quality meals that take time to prepare. And then the little one gets to spend time with you, but you have to check emails. You have to study. You got to take notes. You got to process the information. And after a while, you can start to feel run down. You start to not want to take care of yourself. You're starting to feel like butter scraped over too much bread. And if you have a partner, right? Are you really checking in on him? Right? You gotta check in on him and see how he's doing. How are the temptations? Did he have a bad day? You have to have quality time to communicate, to bounce ideas off each other, and to be romantic and intimate. So the hours for study, romance, really bonding with your child are limited. And the more full you pack your day, also combining prayer and your studies to Islamic stuff, this starts to show you how compact it is. And you do need some time to unwind, right? You need a hobby. Whether you do that through a garden, whether you do that through hunting, fishing, whether you do that through skiing, dog sledding, you have to have something to bring out the tension. I have the heavy bag, other people have heavy bags. There's lots of ways. So, when some sisters are not really honest about the cost of pursuing academia as this sort of light at the end of the road that is always going to secure you in case, God forbid, you get into some financial ruin, I really want you to think that's a long goal. It's a long goal with a lot of unknowns. And enjoy the journey to your goal if you want to go into that career. But don't lie to yourself that you made a sacrifice of quality bonding time with your child. Now, I know some moms think, well, my kid is 2. They won't remember me. I have no influence on them. They're not even going to realize I'm gone. Well, this is a quite sad and demonic way to think, because that's the age when the kid loves you the most. When they become teenagers, when they become 25, 30, they settle down with their own families, and you're aging, they won't visit you as much. And you'll have all the time in the world to be alone. And if you didn't really spend this hardcore time bonding with your kids, you risk them abandoning you. you risk them getting turned against you by the government, by philosophies in the different universities. Rebellion is promoted heavily, okay? Rebellion is promoted as something posh, coy. That's why you hear a lot of rebellious music against almost all forms of authority. And a lot of the American leftists really are eroding the rights of parents. And if you pay attention to the pulse of where leftists are going, we're expanding the government intrusion into your life, expanding taxation. So you put your kid away in these institutions. Kamala Harris wanted to extend school hours so that moms could work, and she framed that as something good, where the government has hold of your kids longer and you see them less and you're with your boss. So this wedge of taking away time with your kid while you're on a planet in space where there's seasons and stars and spring and bugs and wind and mountains and all this wonderful creation, and you're there. And this human being that came out of your body that Allah gave you, that grew from a sperm drop to an egg, and then to a little tiny human, and then full formed. And then you were in the hospital, suffering with those pains, so deep pains, all the blood, all the tears, the cutting the umbilical cord, nursing this child at your breast, being with this wonderful child, and you look in their eyes and you see the magnificence of Allah, that these eyes are staring back at you. Those eyes were inside of your womb. And then you wrap that baby up and you give it over to the government to raise through public schools. You may have a husband who's totally willing for you to stay home, and you have this sort of skeptical mindset of he'll cheat, he'll abandon me. So you're in the fear mode instead of in the present appreciation mode. You toss him aside, and then you're at work, and then your eyes are feasting on the men at work, on customers. You're being more tempted. And this is something that also pulls you away from your child. I really want you to understand, for the young sisters who don't have families yet, that I get when you're 18 and your energy is hot. You're just full of the world is yours, and you think beauty will last and men will always just fawn over you, and you're always going to have this sort of I'm so bad, I'm so hot energy. But this isn't the case. And these Photoshop plastic surgery, heavily medicated, drug-addicted celebrities are not real. Some people have made jokes that if America goes into a collapse and those celebrities can't afford all their supplements, can't afford their plastic surgery, you'll see who they really are and they'll look like zombies because they won't have all their pills. They won't have everything they need to kind of keep themselves from breaking apart. And that the raw women, Amish-style women who are salt of the earth, they're going to be moving on like nothing happened. But the more luxury you get, the harder the fall, and the more of a bag you have on your back. So understand, some women make the sacrifice to pursue different careers, to neglect their children and lie to themselves that they've been a quality parent. You can feel like you've been there, but you haven't been there. You didn't really guard your kid from shaitan. And shaitan is everywhere. Whether it's a pervert who works at the school who's cozying up to your kid, and your kid gets molested, they don't tell you because you're never around. Mom's always busy checking her emails. Mom's not present. Oh, the kid doesn't want to tell you because mom is stressed. Mom's not in a good mood. Maybe the child was going to tell you and you snap at them because you're focusing, right? All the stress from work and school, right? From the drama of workplace politics, assignment deadlines, all these different things really just push and cram you down, and you're mental space. Some get the opportunity, everything goes smooth, and they kind of crush in that environment. I know I love taking exams, and the best memories I have is, crushing, just doing it so well. And then everything in life is smooth. It feels so blissful, right? And then I've had times where I was studying and you're barely holding on because I was switching jobs, trying to get trained, so much stress. My little one was young. And, it's just strange. It's just not really that fulfilling. And I used to study, and my little one would climb on my back, play with my hair, color, kids, doing what they want to do when they're like 6 months old, 7 months old, and 1 year old, and they're all goofy, having fun. And that was interesting. It was a tough time to study and be a present mother. It can be done. I have done it. But after the whole 2 years of lockdowns, I really started realizing that the economy and the structures that are around us are very fragile. And with cancel culture on the rise, economic boycotts, deplatforming, debanking, the new method of subjugation and social credit scores, and all these things show you that even if you have an education, it's not a guarantee you will survive. And this then makes you realize, well, what is wealth and how do you survive and what is survival? And the more independent you are on a homestead and a farm with your own food production and your own mini tribe, your family, with a man who isn't tempted by women all day, this is very satisfying. And if you notice, our prayers really help keep us centered. They make sure that we're doing what we have to do and we have time to ask for forgiveness. And if we know death is approaching constantly and that all of our rewards actually lie in the hereafter, and if we're at work all day, school all day, are we doing good deeds? Why do we think that the only way to get wisdom, knowledge, and to be educated is through these people? And so many women, they spend a lot of their fertile years in the 20s going to school. And a lot of them have hookup culture. And a lot of them are prostituting themselves on OnlyFans. They get passed around the football players. A lot of weird things happen. And if we want to think to ourselves, how much can I cut out temptation? Because there's a lot of handsome guys in college. There's too many. And I myself had this experience that I survived. And I would go to the library focus, and there's just one guy in particular, extremely handsome. It always bothered me to borrow a pen or, something stupid to try to flirt. And I would just here's a pen, I don't need it back, thank you. And I would study, but I would catch myself, this was a long time ago, but I would catch myself, wanting to glance. He knew what he was doing. He would get up and walk past me, and then he'd have on some strong cologne. In the library, you shouldn't wear cologne. It disturbs everybody. But he'd wear it, and then it was like a big fitna for me. I wasn't Muslim then, obviously, because it was a while ago. And I realized, this is hard because it was such a pull. I never felt something like that in my life. Even with the only person I ever loved, it was different, right? Because I'm usually more rigid, but it was a trial. And imagine, if I would have fell into some trap like that, would have been horrible. So I didn't expect to get tempted in a library. And then I noticed that I would go always at the same time and he would be there, almost like he was planning on it. And then he would walk past and do the same thing each time. And you could tell he was trying to do something, trying to bait me, trying to get my focus, right? And so this, for me, without going into any more details, was an example of you never know when you're going to be tempted. And sometimes the temptation is so strong, you get a little freaked out. You're like, this is weird. Whoa, blushing, like your face gets hot, and you're like, geez, like what's wrong with me? And it's not something that's wrong with you, it's just that is a trial in and of itself. And women, we have to remember, when you go into these mixed environments with a lot of non-Muslims who don't have the same morality, you have to be ready to resist. Okay? And sometimes you'll get around some atheists who are really piggish, very hedonistic, very cynical and nihilistic, and their negativity can rub off on you in class when they are the majority. And this is something you have to watch out for, because if you're afraid to speak up for your religion, right, in a positive, constructive way, unapologetically, they have kind of won, because they might mock Christians, but they're kind of edging at you too, because some of the things in Christianity can apply to Islam as well, concerning things that atheists and feminists hate, right? So you're exposing yourself to debt slavery, okay? That's a real thing. Women will put off having a child and seeing their child while getting so much money in debt. At least in America. I don't know how it is where you are, but in America, the student debt bubble, you can look it up, it's in the trillions of dollars. It's very expensive. And you're risking debt, you're risking getting tempted by lust, you are missing time with your child, you're missing out on fertility, you're packing on more stress, and you can figure out how to get educated in a faster way. I listened to this one Jew guy, his name was James Altucher, and he said that people getting micro certificates and, associate degrees from community colleges, that was smart too. Instead of having one bachelor's, you have 12 associates. Instead of having one BA, you have, 17 certificates. Like he was saying, there's a lot of different ways to have an impressive resume and do it faster with also micro degrees and things that don't take so long. Because some things take long, not because the material is difficult, because the curriculum is designed to be slow so they can bleed your wallet. And, you really just have to think. Working and going to school and being a mom isn't easy. I did that. And when the lockdowns happened, I thought, oh, this school doesn't care about anything I did. I gave all the evidence why I should be exempted. They should exempt me. I already survived Kufi. Didn't have to go to the hospital. Totally fine. I'm cool. Like, I should be able to go to class. And then they said, even for Zoom classes, you have to have the Fauci ouchie jabby jab. And I was like, this don't make no sense to me. This is oppressive. This is coercion. And I had to make a hard choice and say, do I care about my bodily autonomy? Do I care about my rights as a human being? Am I a guinea pig? What matters more? And I thought, you know what? Screw this. I can get unlimited knowledge, and I don't really need to be a part of this. When they rescind the mandates, I'll come back. If not, who really cares? Credits can always be transferred. And in the end, I know who I am, and I have so many skills, and I don't mind working different jobs. I don't have to be a philosophy or political science teacher. I can do many different things with skills and earn a living and survive and spend time with my little one, right? So we have to be wise as women and say, how can I achieve my prayers? How can I study the religion? How can I have time to do good deeds and any variation in degree? How can I guard and deprogram my child from all the temptations of shaitan that come at them 24/7? How can I do this? How can I inspire others to be better? How can I have time to relax and contemplate the universe? Contemplate God? Contemplate my existence? Contemplate what it means to be a mother? What it means to be a citizen of your country? What it means to be a human? A neighbor? A wife? A companion? A friend? A teacher? And I found myself enjoying more time being alone in terms of my little one would be at school, and then I would just lay in the park, stare up at the sky, or go by the ocean and watch the waves, and have solid peace where no one's talking to me, no customers bothering me, nobody's emailing me, nobody's nagging me. It's just quiet peace and connecting to God. And I thought, I have organic food, I have what I need, I have companionship, I have family, I have my good friends, I have my wonderful hadith books collection. I'm so blessed. Do I really need to go to work to get more than this? Because I'm content with what I have. Who's gonna care if I'm a CEO? Who's gonna care at all? Why do I need all that money? Sure, I say I want to build masjids and I want to build these schools, but how long before I save up to get that money? Who can I help now? Who can I inspire for free online? Who can I, be kind to in person who needs it, who's having a sad day? Those things matter. Credentialism in college isn't the only way to matter in the world. And then it all comes down to having time to think like that and then spending that time with your kid. And I really appreciated walking with my little one by the ocean and talking to her, being with her, telling her what our values are as Muslims, and really making sure she's telling me what happened at school. Did anybody bother her? She studies Bukhari with me. She hears me read books. She sees directly. She does amazing things. Practices her math and does all this stuff. Builds with Legos, does puzzles, does crafts. Amazing things. And this is because I have the time to do it. And I can compare and contrast this from when I was working more and when I was working less. Right? And the only thing that changed was how much play money I had. So you have to cut back, and that's fine. And being more minimalistic. And then enjoying a simple coffee and pastry. Enjoying buying organic flour and organic eggs and whole raw milk. And being able to keep an eye on my neighbor's property while they're at work and seeing all the birds feed at my bird feeder. Studying Tawheed and practicing Tajweed. These are all things that are far superior than being in the classroom and being at work. And certain classes are awesome. My class on Shakespeare was memorable. I have classes that are very special in my mind, and others I hated. I didn't like geography. And my history teacher was pretty lazy. But all the books they gave, things I could buy on Amazon for $7. Their classes were so bloated with nonsense, it was something I could learn on YouTube in about a month instead of the longer semesters. And I started realizing I'm paying for the prestige of the teacher and the location of the school. I'm not paying for the actual knowledge or skills, and the bureaucracy of the colleges control the teachers too much to where they can't be free to be unique, and there's too much political correctness, and the students are pretty left-wing, and the teachers have a bias sometimes to where they'll grade you if you don't agree with them. They just want you to repeat talking points. So I'm just being a good memorizer, and I'm not really being a good intellectual. And walking on eggshells around certain professors who are feminist, leftist, atheists was difficult. And I had to work even harder to make sure, there's no way they couldn't give me anything but an A. And I did that, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong, I like the competition. But there's a cost, right? So you can go to a community college. You can go to night school. You can learn online. You can have, your own book club with your friends at your house. There's lots of ways to get knowledge. Remember, avoiding debt is a very smart move. Very smart. And having children younger, when you can bounce back and you have the energy to spend quality time with them and you won't be as tired, this is a very beautiful gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So please don't fetishize school. Don't think it's going to be your savior. It's going to be a guarantee. It's okay to have less shiny things. It's okay to have less shoes. I have like 4 pairs of shoes, 2 pairs of like workout pants, like a niqab for every day of the week, and then some of these extra ones. Maybe 2 towels for washing my body. Very minimal is my point. Very minimal. Like, what do I need? Got a couple extras, that's it. And once you let the materialism and the vanity fade, you realize how much money you actually do have, and how many hours are in a day, and how you can be productive even without having to punch into a 9 to 5 or be in a university hall with, a bunch of other students who could care less whether you exist or not, and who wouldn't notice your absence. Right? So reflect upon it and understand that they want to separate you more and more from your children through the metaverse, summer camps, work, school, and that you're only on this planet for a short time, and children are worth more than everything in this world, and paradise is worth more than this world. And what would paradise be without some children? Right? Paradise would be beautiful even for the widows and the barren women who had nothing in their womb. But understand that there is a cost. There is a cost. And there's a time to change paths and a time to keep going down a path, but you can't lie about what the end is and what is going to be at the end. So think about what I said, and may Allah preserve you all. And please really analyze what feminists are selling you and what that means for you as a mother.